controversial video of all time. So, getting into the NFL season now, this is going to be releasing the day after my week 1 review. And I did my predictions last week. And inevitably, this happens every single season. People accuse me of being biased against this team. Oh, you hate this team. You're disrespecting this team. Da 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 da. And honestly, I try, whenever I do these videos, to not allow my personal opinions about teams, players, whatever, influence what I'm saying. If you can't really tell whether or not I actually like or dislike a team, then I've done my job properly. But I figured, okay, if everybody's gonna be accusing me of this anyway, I might as well just do it. So, this is my ranking of every NFL team. And as you can see at the top, that's my team. Then teams I like a lot, teams I like a bit, teams I have no strong opinion on, teams that I dislike a bit, and teams that I dislike a lot. And there's a lot of factors that go into determining this, how I feel about teams, their history with my favorite team, if they've beaten us in a particularly horrific matchup, if they are a team that regularly beats us, or, they share a conference with us, I'll probably dislike that team a bit. The fan base, a lot of this is going to be based off of interactions I've had with fans from these teams, whether that is online interactions, in-person interactions, what have you. Players that have been on these teams, if there's players that I particularly like or dislike on a team, that will influence the rankings here. There's other things, I'm sure, like history, team history, things like that. But there's, I'll try to explain it as I go. So we're gonna start off with my team. I am a Seattle Seahawks fan, so they go at the very top of the list. And now we come to the Arizona Cardinals, so they are a rival of us, but of the 3 other teams in the conference, they are the team that has caused the least amount of heartbreak for Seattle over the years. And Arizona has had some players that I have liked in their history, J.J. Watt, and even though Kyler Murray has been struggling recently, I do enjoy the way he plays. So I think that because, they haven't really caused too many issues, even though they are a division rival. Honestly, the Arizona Cardinals, I do not have a very strong opinion on them one way or the other. The Atlanta Falcons, I like them a bit. I feel really, really bad for them, for their Super Bowl collapse. To be that close and to fall short speaking from experience as a Seahawks fan, I know how heartbreaking that is. That is a football fan base that has not had a lot of fun and positive experiences over the years. It's been a pretty mediocre football team for the most part. And there's like I like Kirk Cousins. Bijan Robinson is a dude that I like watching, so they have players I enjoy, so I'll put them in like a bit. Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, I'd also put them in the like a bit category. I've always loved the Ravens uniforms. That purple and gold is a beautiful combination. Plus the Raven is a mascot in general. I'm just a really big fan of, Bird Bros stick together, all that. What's funny is all the teams on the board at the present moment are all bird teams. Ray Lewis, one of my favorite players, Ray Lewis. And then even now, Lamar Jackson's one of my favorite players to watch. Any snap where Lamar Jackson's under center, anything can happen. It's very exciting football. This season they have a very high-powered offense, and I like watching. Personally, I do prefer watching defense, but something about their offense this year is just a lot of fun to watch. And as far as fan bases go, I can honestly say I can't think of any real interactions with Ravens fans that I've had that have really been negative. Buffalo Bills, I'm going to put the Buffalo Bills in the like a lot category. I'm a big fan of underdogs in sports. If there's a matchup between two teams, pretty much 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be rooting for the underdogs. And the Buffalo Bills are sort of the proverbial quintessential underdogs, and I kind of feel the same way about the Buffalo Sabres. To be honest, Buffalo sports in general, they deserve a break, and Buffalo Bills are another team that feels like they've gotten so close, yet they keep falling a little bit short. And my personal opinion at this point is I think that their time is done. I don't think they're going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender again in the Josh Allen era. Unfortunately, that's just my personal belief, but like I said, in my mind, the city of Buffalo deserves some sports happiness, and I like Josh Allen. I like overall that Buffalo Bills team. It's a pretty likable squad of guys. The Carolina Panthers, I promise there are going to be teams that end up down here. It's just a lot of the ones I like are up here at the moment. Carolina Panthers, this is going to be the same reason for Buffalo, perennial underdogs. They've been underperforming for a very long time. As far as the fan base is concerned, there's constantly talks about the team getting moved out of Carolina and into England, which I'm sure as a fan is a bit annoying to deal with. But the Panthers are one of those teams that, like, week in, week out, I'm always hoping they're going to do well. I'm always hoping that, maybe this mediocrity will come to an end that they've been dealing with the Cam Newton era. I loved Cam Newton, the way he played the game, the fact that, they had him, they had Coakley, they had, Christian McCaffrey, and that, pretty much was all for nothing is an absolute travesty in my opinion. Like a bit, I'm going to go the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears, I have some family friends who are really big Bears fans. Their living room, they had a bunch of Chicago Bears merch and, posters, things like that. They're originally from Chicago. obviously. Plus one of my favorite little diners back at home. It was run by this really big, barrel-chested Italian-American guy from Chicago. And the whole interior of this diner was all Chicago Bears stuff. And, I don't know, there's just something about Chicago sports teams in general, I realize, because I kind of have a soft spot for the Cubs as well. Not so much the Blackhawks. And yeah, I kind of like the Bulls as well, to be honest. But there's just sort of, I think, like this sort of blue-collar spirit to the teams in Chicago that I quite like, except for the Blackhawks. You know, I finally want Chicago to have a quarterback that's, like, decent. Like, you know, it's been so long for Chicago. The Bengals. Now, this is tricky, because if you would have asked me even maybe last season, I think I'd probably put the Bengals here. I don't know if I really have a good reason for it, but I feel like I'm kind of starting to dislike the Bengals a little bit. I absolutely love Jamar Chase. He's one of my favorite players in the entire league, but I think the longer Joe Burrow is in this league, the more he rubs me the wrong way, and I don't really know why. It might be Joe Burrow fans more so than it is Joe Burrow himself. But I think this team frustrates me because I feel like they should be better, but like they're not, and I think that's a frustration. I think I even said that almost word for word last year or last season. Like I kept feeling like the Bengals should be better, but they're not. And like some teams, when they have these issues, like the Bills or the Falcons, like it ingratiates them to me. But for some reason with the Bengals, it makes me angry. Like I'm just like, I want to like shake them and be like, be better. And like I said, I don't really feel like I have a super strong reasoning for why. I feel like as the seasons go on, I've just kind of started to dislike the Bengals more. The Cleveland Browns. Dislike a bit, and again, underdogs proverbially, or not proverbially, perennially underdogs. But I think the longer the Cleveland Browns issues have gone on, the longer it feels like malicious incompetence on behalf of the franchise. What they did with Baker Mayfield, giving that huge secured bag to Deshaun Watson. You know, I'm not even gonna lie, like watching the Browns and Deshaun Watson melt down last season the way they did, part of me did enjoy it, just because I disliked Deshaun Watson so much, and the fact that Cleveland shipped off Baker Mayfield, who was a ray of like hope to the franchise, took them to the playoffs for the first time. Like, you know, all that stuff. There was so much excitement around Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, and okay, yeah, he wasn't like the guy, but I feel like they did him wrong, and it kind of made me dislike them a bit. Because Cleveland, the franchise had really kind of made this image of like trying to integrate, like, I don't know, just the way they connected with the fan base, and like that whole era, it was very like, it felt very sincere, the way the team was connecting with the community and the fan base. But then now in hindsight, it feels very fake. And the thing is, like, I like Browns fans. I feel for Browns fans, you know, except for the ones who Deshaun Watson. And I really like Myles Garrett and some of the other guys on that squad, but I've come to start disliking the franchise a bit. If you asked me when I was younger, I probably would have put the Cowboys here. But I think nowadays I'd put them up here and dislike a bit. In this instance, it actually is mainly the fan base. You know, the whole, the fact that I will see Cowboys fans come into any and every NFL season saying, this is our year, this is our time, da 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 da. And then, within a couple of weeks, they're like, oh, this team is terrible, Jerry needs to sell the team, we're never gonna win anything, da 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 da. And then as soon as the offseason hits, it's right back to, how about them Cowboys, this is our year. It's just such a yo-yo, and the thing is that's been happening since I was in high school. It's been 20 years of Cowboys fans doing this. I don't really like Jerry Jones. I like Dak Prescott. There's certain players on that team I like. Actually, the players in Dallas, I kind of like a lot of the players they have. But like I said, I think it's the fan base, and I think it's Jerry Jones that have just started to grate on me a little bit. But the fan base at this point, it's less that it makes me mad, and it's more part of me feels bad. It's they keep deluding themselves into thinking the team's going to be a Super Bowl contender every year for the last 20 years. I know my team isn't anywhere close to a Super Bowl. I'm coming into this season with zero expectations. But it feels regardless of what the tide, which way the winds are blowing, Cowboys fans are always we're winning the Super Bowl. And then if they start the season 1-2, they're Jerry, sell the team. Whoever that quarterback is needs to be gone. It gets old. Broncos fans, no strong opinion. They have been upgraded. This is a team I probably would have put here not that long ago. Now I'm going to put them up here in the Peyton Manning era, especially after leading up to the Seahawks Super Bowl win over the Broncos. And then afterwards, Broncos fans, personally I found a lot of toxicity there. I swear after the Seahawks lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots, there were more Denver Broncos fans talking trash than there were Patriots fans. The Broncos were happier that we lost than the Patriots were that they won. I feel there was just a lot of toxicity between Broncos and Seahawks fans following that Super Bowl win. And there's been a lot of players in Denver that I've liked over the years, but this one is pretty much entirely based on the fan base, which is really funny, thinking about it, because I have similar issues with Colorado Avalanche fans. I don't know if it's just Colorado sports fans in general and the way they act, but I tend to have issues with a lot of them. But nowadays, now that the team has been struggling a bit, I don't have as many issues with them. Detroit Lions right now, they're in my like a lot category. I love the way this team plays. The coach, the way he coaches, his whole philosophy, I really like him as a person. They're a very exciting team to watch play. Jared Goff, I'm kind of so on him. But pretty much everything else about that team is really exciting. Detroit sports, similar to Chicago, similar to Buffalo. Detroit needs a win, and the fact that Detroit has a successful football team for the first time in a very long time, I think is very exciting, very cool. Green Bay. Now, I think I hide this one quite well, but actually do tend to dislike Green Bay Packers quite a bit. The Seahawks and the Packers have had some notorious run-ins over the years, especially during the Aaron Rodgers era. So not only has the on-field contention been an issue, but because some of those games are quite notorious. If you're a Seahawks or Packers fan, you know what I'm talking about. That's led to toxicity between the fan bases. And I don't know what it is, but like the Portland area has a lot of Packers fans there. Like a lot of Packers fans living in the Portland, Oregon area. I don't know why. One time I was at a Blazers game. So it wasn't even an NFL game, I was at a Blazers game, and there was a section of Packers fans. Like, it was so weird. It was the Blazers. They were not playing the Bucks. So they weren't playing the Milwaukee Bucks. But there was an entire section of like 20 people wearing Packers gear. And they were being extremely like rude and drunk and obnoxious. And like I almost threw hands with them at the Moda Center. But yeah, so they are a team I tend to dislike quite a bit. Plus, I find, this is going to be my personal opinion, but like I find the whole Packers fans and them being like, oh, we're a fan-owned team, like they get very sanctimonious about that and act like it makes them better than any other team, even though like really it's mostly symbolic. Yeah, but like the current team, like, you know, they just played earlier today at the time you're recording this. I really like Jordan Love. Like I think they're playing an exciting brand of football right now, and I enjoy watching their games. So I can kind of separate out the on-field product from my personal feelings on the team and fans and everything else. The Houston Texans, no strong opinion, to be honest. Basically, my entire life they've been mediocre to bad. It's just recently that they've really kind of started to turn that around, but I think even if they like take off and win a Super Bowl and start playing very exciting football, I feel like I'm not really likely to like the team. I probably feel like I'll remain indifferent to them. I don't know why. The Colts, I think I'll put them here as well. I like some of the players on the Colts. They're a team that I don't mind to see them win. But I feel like at the end of the day, I honestly can't say I have strong feelings one way or the other against the Colts. Like, you know, there's some of these teams, like if the Ravens are in the Super Bowl, if the Lions are in the Super Bowl, the Bills, I'm like, oh, that's must see. I have to tune in because I want to see them win. You know, if the Packers are in the Super Bowl, I'm like, I want to tune in so I can see them lose. But if it's the Colts playing the Super Bowl against, you know, another team I don't really care for it that much, I don't know. I wouldn't feel compelled to watch. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Quick apology to the Carolina Panthers fans. I realize the Jacksonville Jaguars are the team that they always talk about moving to England. You can see why I got confused. I like them a bit. My very first NFL hat that I ever purchased was a Jacksonville Jaguars hat. I think for that reason alone, I will always kind of have a soft spot for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I will always like them, at least a little bit. But, you know, they're one of those teams, underdog teams. I like to see them win. Like if they win games like their run they went on last last season where they got to the top of their division made me quite happy, and I was quite frustrated when they started losing. Yeah. But so I would say I like them a bit. Now this one's gonna be shocking. Kansas City Chiefs. I do like them a bit, and I know a lot of people view them as the modern Patriots. A lot of people want them to lose. A lot of people really dislike Mahomes. They really dislike Kelsey. But honestly, I can't bring myself to hate them in the way that I could hate Brady. When Brady was in the league, he was playing for New England. I hated Tom Brady. I hated the Patriots. I hated them. But I can't hate the Kansas City Chiefs in the same way. I don't know if it's because the aura and the vibe around Brady and Belichick was like Vader and Palpatine, and I just don't get that with Mahomes and Reed. Plus, I like Travis Kelsey. And I think that Kansas City, as opposed to New England, plays a very exciting brand of football. When it was Tom Brady and the Patriots, it just felt like a boa constrictor. Oh, there's a 3-yard pass. Oh, there's another 3-yard pass. Oh, there's a run. Oh, it was just so predictable. But with the Chiefs, it's oh, there's Patrick Mahomes sidearm throwing 45 yards down the field as he's getting hit. So it's just a bit different, and they're so exciting to watch that even though they are so dominant, I do still like them a little bit. The Chargers. Now here's the thing. I talk about how I love Justin Herbert, and I do really like Justin Herbert, but I kind of dislike the Los Angeles Chargers a little bit. And my main reason is for them leaving San Diego. San Diego is one of my favorite cities in the entire United States. And, when I think of the Chargers, LaDainian Tomlinson, one of my favorite players of all time, they had so much history there in San Diego. And much like how I feel like having 2 NBA teams in Los Angeles is a little bit ridiculous, I think having 2 NFL teams in Los Angeles is a little bit ridiculous. It doesn't work, in my opinion, especially because, really, to me, Los Angeles has never felt like a football city. The Raiders, I feel like, have more support than either the Rams or the Chargers. The team moving out of San Diego has always rubbed me the wrong way and kind of made me dislike the franchise as a whole a little bit. The Los Angeles Rams, though, they come down here. Obviously, they're a division rival. As a Seahawks fan, the Rams have put an end to our season a number of times. McVay always had Pete Carroll's number. Always. And, we could never really beat them, after we came out of our Legion of Boom years. It was just always a struggle against Los Angeles. Now, again, I wish they would have stayed in St. Louis. I liked them being the St. Louis Rams. I think St. Louis deserves to have an NFL franchise. But yeah, the St. Louis Rams, that's how I grew up with them, and I always really liked that franchise when it was in St. Louis. And I didn't dislike those much back then, but since the move to Los Angeles, it's been fairly consistent. And I know that they were in Los Angeles before St. Louis. I get that. But in my personal opinion, in my perfect world, the Raiders are in Los Angeles. The Chargers are in San Diego, and the Rams are in St. Louis. That's just personally the way I would have it. Yeah. Speaking of the Raiders, no strong opinion on them. I don't like that they moved to Las Vegas. I grew up with them as the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, they'd been in Los Angeles before. But the Raiders are that team that I've always found it interesting that their brand is so pervasive when, their results have never been that great. Like, they haven't really been that dominant force in football. Yet you will see Raiders fans all over the country, all over the world. Obviously, it's a great color scheme, and they have a very strong fan base, but yeah, it's always been very interesting to me. But beyond that, I've never really had a strong opinion on the Raiders. The Miami Dolphins, that is my second favorite team. That's my favorite East Coast team. Dan Marino is my favorite NFL player of all time. And this team right now, I think they're really exciting. I've always, despite recent seasons, I've always kind of been a bit iffy on Tua Tagovailoa. But they're an exciting team to watch at the moment. Mike McDaniel, I don't know, I think he's kind of a little bit overrated, and I think his whole shtick that he's doing, where he's like dressing like a Miami drug lord, is really kind of lame. Like, it feels very inauthentic. And it's almost starting to feel like he's like playing a caricature of himself when he does press conferences and stuff. And I find that a bit annoying. But amazing color scheme, probably some of my favorite jerseys in all sports. I've never had any issues with Miami Dolphins fans, which is really funny because I have a lot of issues with Miami Heat fans. Maybe it's because the Dolphins have been less successful, but yeah, my second favorite team in the NFL. Minnesota Vikings. I'll put them in like a lot. I do like them a lot. Amazing fan base. Minnesota sports fans that are still Minnesota sports fans at this point are some of the most loyal sports fans in the world. They do not have a lot to be happy about. And I love the purple jerseys. They have some really exciting players. I really liked, I like Kirk Cousins a lot. I liked it when he was there. But Addison and Jefferson, wide receiver is my favorite position in the NFL. They have two of my favorites in the entire league. Just a really exciting team, a proverbial underdog team. And if I were to ever move back to the United States, Minneapolis would probably be on the very short list of cities I'd consider moving to. And I think I could, very quickly adapt to going to Vikings games. Now, this is going to be the real teller of how the times have changed the New England Patriots. No strong opinion. 5 years ago, they are my most hated team, hating them more than anybody else. But ever since Tom Brady left, they've been mediocre to terrible since he left. My cold, dark heart has softened on them a little bit. And now I don't really feel strongly about them either way. They are no longer the evil empire. My problem was I always think back, we had this kid in my high school. He was a Yankees, Heat, Patriots fan. So he would either wear a New York Yankees hat, a Miami Heat hat, or a New England Patriots hat. And I was like, this guy, this effing guy, like that. And there were so many dudes like that. If you are of a similar age to me, if you're a millennial, you're a millennial sports fan, you will have gone to high school with so many guys who were those guys. I think that's probably made me, at the time, hate all those teams. It's like, brother, you live in a sports city here. What are you doing? Bandwagon. But the Patriots, I can't really hate them at this point. Now we have a long list here, so East Coast teams I don't watch as much, so I'm gonna... The Saints, the Giants, and the Jets all go here in the no strong opinion tab. And I don't really have a strong explanation from either way, it's just that actually the Giants I do like a bit. I like the Giants a bit. I really like Eli Manning. Eli Manning's one of my favorite players of all time. Just because he's so unathletic looking, but he has 2 Super Bowl rings. I've just always loved that, and I love the history of the New York Giants and all that. The Jets and the Saints, I just hardly ever watch these 2 teams, to really be honest with you. If I have time to watch 1 or 2 football games a day, unless they're playing the Seahawks or they're playing another team I enjoy, like, I just personally never seek out a Saints or a Jets game. I don't know why. To me, they're just kind of teams that exist. The Philadelphia Eagles, I like them a bit. The Philly special, that Nick Foles Super Bowl performance, even though I'm not an Eagles fan, is still one of my favorite memories of watching a sporting event ever. I loved that. And the current team in Philadelphia, I'm not super hot on. I think I'm a lot harsher on Jalen Hurts than a lot of people. I don't know why. There's just something about him I dislike. I was a big Jason Kelce fan, and I know a lot of people have issues with Eagles fans or Philadelphia sports fans in general. But there's always something I found a little bit endearing about how Philadelphia fans are. I've just always found it a little bit endearing. Yes, so the Eagles, I like them a bit. The Pittsburgh Steelers, okay, this is gonna be tricky because Steelers fans are fantastic. I love Steelers fans. They're some of the best traveled fans in the NFL. The city of Pittsburgh is an amazing city. It's another city on the short list of places I'd want to live if I ever moved back to the United States. But it always bothered me how readily people hand-waved away the Ben Roethlisberger stuff. So I think for that dislike a bit, I think that as the years go by and Ben Roethlisberger is further in the rearview mirror, they might creep up the list, because like I said, I love Pittsburgh fans. I really like TJ Watt. He's an amazing player to watch. Plus they have Russell Wilson on their roster right now, who is a player I love, obviously. But like I said, it's just it was the apologetics or the Ben Roethlisberger stuff that, for me personally, never sat right. So I had to put them there for that. San Francisco 49ers, probably not a big surprise as a Seahawks fan. This is my most hated team in the league. As simple as that. They are the team that I dislike the most. Conference division rival. Probably our biggest roadblock in the conference. to say. I think San Francisco would probably put Kansas City as their most disliked team. But yeah, as a Seattle fan, it has to be the 49ers. Actually, I think a lot of San Francisco sports teams probably, I don't like the Warriors. I don't like the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, he's a Vegas fan. I think it's just, my teams always end up in the same conference as San Francisco teams. It's just what it is. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not a strong opinion on them one way or the other, to be honest. I think it's really, really cool that Tom Brady was able to go there and get them a ring. I have one of my best friends lives in Tampa. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. I really liked Jameis Winston. I understand why they let him go, but I was a big Jameis Winston fan, but honestly not a strong opinion on them. Same with the Tennessee Titans. And the Commanders are in the dislike a bit category. And that's pretty much all down to front office, ownership, just that whole situation with the ownership, front office, some of the bad stuff that's gone on behind the scenes, like the stuff with the cheerleaders and some other stories that have come out over the years. It's just that organization in general, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, a lot of Washington fans are really good, and as an underdog, I often will find myself pulling for them in games, but yeah, just the way that the organization, the ownership, all of that, some of the shady things they've done, I really dislike. But if that team does get sold, then I think that could change, if they clean house a bit. So this is how I feel about every team in the NFL. Now, I don't know if there's any surprises, anything that you guys, maybe, you thought maybe I felt a little bit differently than what you see here, but I would say this is pretty much it. I think year by year, there'll be little shifts a little bit, but ultimately, it's pretty much this. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. If I dislike your team, you'll probably leave a thumbs down. But subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.